Lincoln Riley will be up on stage. Is he today? Is Lincoln Riley today or tomorrow? Tomorrow.
He is tomorrow.
He'll be up there with his Mickey Mouse tears, crying about being 4 plays away from winning 8 games, and maybe they can get to a bowl game in year 4 under Lincoln Riley this year. We'll see if they can do it. Greatest coach on the West Coast we've ever seen. Let's get to this. Speaking of him, he's going to talk tomorrow. And I have pointed this out. You mentioned this yesterday. I asked you what's the biggest storyline going into Big Ten Media Days. And you said Lincoln Riley, year 4 at USC.
Pretty massive, dude.
Been a bit of a disaster. We had a great first year bringing in Caleb Williams, and they won all those close games, and their defense was bad. Pac-12 title game, and it collapsed against Utah, and they got killed in that game. But the next 2 years, one with Caleb Williams, in which they were a disaster. And then last year, we had to hear about him complain about being 1 possession away from beating Maryland and Rutgers and getting body bagged by Iowa. Here is a college.
They lost to Maryland, didn't they?
They lost to Maryland. Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
That's
Maryland.
It's Clay Helton bad.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Here is Paul Feinbaum. He was randomly on ESPN radio with Dari Noka, and just unsolicited, end of the interview, had this to say.
The thing that I'm most excited about Big Ten Media Days is I want to hear Lincoln Riley try to explain his last 2 years, because I can't think of anybody whose coaching has been more fraudulent since his first year with Caleb Williams. And I say that as somebody who admired what Lincoln Riley did at OU. I didn't admire the way he left, but I really think, and I know a lot of people are still gnashing teeth in Norman and Oklahoma City and across that state, but I frankly believe the Sooner Nation is better off today than it would have been had he stayed around, because there is something wrong with this guy, Dorian. I know we don't have time. I know we're at the end of the segment, but I did want to close on that note. I am underwhelmed, and I can't think of a coach in modern time who's making the kind of money that he's making who has done less.
I mean, that's a tough one to end with, because I think there are coaches that we can point to who've been paid a lot of money to do really bad jobs.
Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo Fisher at least won a national title at Florida State, so you could.
I was talking about Texas A&M.
Well, I know, but he said, yeah, and I
Come
think
on, that's worse.
Sure, no doubt the run that he had at A&M was worse. I think the point was making the amount of money without the biggest accomplishment in the sport. To be trying fair,
That's
but yeah,
the sport, man.
Sure.
Everybody makes the next big contract.
You're parsing through some language there and reading between the lines on things that he's trying to say.
Has Oklahoma been better off by
That's
the way?
the other part of it that I'm like, Venables is going into a pivotal year where if he doesn't perform with Mateer.
He's got 2 6-7 seasons, so it's 2 6-6 regular seasons.
Yeah.
The 10-win season, certainly with Gabriel, no doubt.
Yeah,
kind of the outlier in 3 years.
Right. Very similar to Lincoln Riley. He's had 1 good year and 2 down years.
Lincoln Riley ended at Oklahoma 12-2, 12-2, 12-2, 9-2, 11-2. See you later.
Yeah,
like, look, I understand not perfect. The USC thing has not been going well at all. As a guy that was like, holy crap. I thought this was one of the biggest moves. That was the reaction I had on the show live when it was announced. It's the year, man. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to fire him because I know their financial situation's very interesting. A lot of universities are dealing with financial, they're coming up short in their budgets and they're having to cut stuff. I think Oregon is a part of, there's a lot of universities in the country that are having to cut stuff right now.
Even with that full Big Ten share, huh?
So I understand that they may not buy him out. If you don't do it this year, and I know they got a new thing at quarterback, but come on, man, enough with the excuses.
Yeah.
This is the portal era.
You brought in a Heisman-winning quarterback in year 1. You went 8-5 with him in your second year because you had one of the worst defenses in the history of the sport.
He is so far not. They have not taken. Now, what if Anthony Lynn this year takes that step defensively for them?
Sure.
That'll be a big one, but I don't know. It seems like a pretty pivotal season to determine if this was truly a good move. I also don't know what he is at Oklahoma versus what he has become at USC. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Living that LA life, live that LA mansion money.
Sure.
That's a different lifestyle than Norman, Oklahoma, where it's like, what are you going to do? Golf and football. That's it. I've been to Norman, Oklahoma. It sucks. Oklahoma in general is terrible.
Yeah, not a great place. Get out as quickly as you can.
Yeah, he went to L.A. He's living that posh lifestyle. I don't know what's going on, but he better show it this year.
I do find it interesting to compare because the hires are made at a very similar time, and both of them had their first years in 2022 at their respective programs. And I remember the thought was Lincoln Riley is unquestionably the bigger hire. He's going to USC. It's a major program. Like, he's going to kill it there and crush it. And he's bringing in a Heisman-winning quarterback with him, or Heisman contending, I guess, at the time, because he won it the first year at USC. In 3 years at USC, Lincoln Riley's record is 26-14. He's 17-10 in conference play. 3 years into Dan Lanning at Oregon, they're 35-6, 24-3 in conference play. Like, it hasn't even been close.
It's not remotely close.
It's not even a competition. And people will try and cry and say, well, Oregon's got Nike. It's like USC doesn't have resources.
Right.
USC didn't win national titles 20 years ago, giving out bags of cash
or
to
LenDale
White or houses to Reggie Bush. Like, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. So I love the Lincoln Riley criticism. I'm here for it. I think the guy's a bit of a clown. I hate the way that he constantly makes excuses for losing games. And the reason why he hasn't lived up to the hype, and this was the biggest fear in hiring him, is he's never taken one side of the ball seriously. His teams at Oklahoma were always great. They were elite offensively. When they ran into the big teams at the end of the year, what happened? They couldn't get stops because their defense was a sieve. That's who they have always been. And so until he figures that out, now the offense has regressed a little bit because they don't have Caleb Williams anymore. It's a very interesting year. I agreed with you yesterday when you said it. I think they're the biggest storyline going into the conference this year. They ran away from the Pac-12 and killed our conference to, one, hide from Oregon because they're scared of them, and two, go get more money because they're broke, according to them. And they thought we could compete in a national conference. We're in L.A. Look at us. And first year in the Big Ten was an absolute disaster for them.
You know, I kind of comp it. It's different in some ways. Obviously, I think right now people are feeling like they're in a better position than maybe USC will be this year, and USC will have a chance to prove all of the rhetoric wrong. I kind of comp Lincoln's tenure so far at USC. It really is similar to me of Mario at Miami. They were hires. Now, look, Mario had an actual tie as a player, but we were all thinking the same thing here. Ducks fan
great
was
recruiter,
like, oh,
going home to Miami.
We lost a recruiting guy, and here we go. We're making way, and he's gone. He's going to Miami, and Miami. It's Miami, man. All the talent's in Florida.
They're going to crush it. They're spending all this money.
All the alums are going to come back. And look, maybe they will, but 10-3 last year finally popped. Before that, 7-6, 5. Like, it just.
He's the reverse in terms of years. Yeah.
But it's the similar thing, right? He's the prodigal son returning. Oh, my God, we got the biggest offensive name in the sport. Neither one has paid off.
No.
Neither one has paid off yet. And maybe one of them will. But I look at them and they just remind me of each other. They both were great when I was younger.
Yes.
They both are they back kind of team now. They haven't popped. And which one's going to pop first, I don't know. Maybe Mario at Miami because of the conference, but both of them kind of feel like they're in similar territory of they're probably not going to get fired because of how much it costs.
Right.
But I don't know how many people are really going to put stock of like, oh, yeah, that guy can absolutely outcoach all these other people.
And there's also a difference in this day and age, too. I would argue that maybe 15 years ago we're not arguing this same thing, although USC and Miami should be outliers to this because of the brands that they are and the cities that they're in and all of that stuff. There are no excuses of giving you time to build up anymore. There just aren't. The transfer portal exists.
Ramp up anymore.
No, we got to get our first recruiting class. And when you famously had to write Mario Cristobal an apology letter because he was so soft that he complained about a hard question that you asked. That was literally the question. It was, how long do you have to be at a place till you feel like you got the collection of talent that you want and all that stuff? And he come on, brother. Like, it was a fine question to ask. And I think the reality back in the day was probably 3 or 4 years. By the time you get there, some of your classes have come through. Your first classes are upperclassmen. Like, then you've got your guys that you want. That doesn't exist anymore, man. Lincoln Riley's got to prove that he can win without Caleb Williams. He's not been able to do that yet at USC. And even in the 1 year he's had him there, it was a disaster.
Miller Moss is at Louisville now.
And Miller Moss is gone, and so we'll see how it works out for him. And Miami's got to prove that they can do it without Cam Ward. 5-7, 7-6 without Cam Ward. Now you got Carson Beck. You pull that off? Broke up with one of the Cavender twins. See how it works out for you, Miami. So I think that's a great comparison. I agree with, just inverse of when they had their pop year and then when the down years were.